Scandal. Scandal really wasn't much. Okay, y'all should already expect that. How y'all? Oh, I'm so rude. First of all, hey y'all, how y'all doing, bitches? Yes. Somebody gonna get offended and be like, "Why you gotta call us bitches?" Okay, well if you don't watch me that much, you should know it's a term of endearment. Okay. Anyway, fuck that. Let's get into this episode of Scandal right quick. Scandal, because I'm waiting for How to Get Away with Murder. Y'all know we all waiting for that one. But Scandal was cute. Okay, we get Olivia going back. I will appreciate and put it out there, even though Scandal is not giving me everything that I need and the feeling that I used to have in the beginning, I do enjoy the fact that Olivia is finally going back and solving some cases. Olivia is in her own little world right about now. I don't know what's going on, but her thing is, fuck it, okay? You deal with this, you deal with that. Abby comes to Olivia for a case. The Secret Service calls her talking about some girl, we got a problem. Abby calls Olivia. And the reason why is because Secret Service had some type of party in a hotel, quote unquote, a sex party, okay? And they had two hookers, okay? And one of the hookers fell through a glass table and she died. Now, their story is that she OD'd, and that's what made her fall. And, we got all the blood and all the stuff in her head. And I'm looking like, no, the way that wound on her head is, no, she didn't just fall through that thing like that. She didn't fall through that table like that. So basically, the Secret Service was trying to tell them what was going on, and it was Quinn, Huck, and I think Harrison there. Well, Harrison 2.0, he was there, and Olivia, but Olivia wasn't really talking, and Quinn kept on looking at her like. And I guess it was just like, girl, I ain't finna say nothing, you take over. Because Quinn was doing most of the talking. And I was like, Olivia, what's going on? Olivia is thrown off about something. Bitch, Olivia had Jake on the brain. That's what she had on the brain. She had Jake on the brain. They fixing the whole thing. They coming up with a scenario, basically, saying that she was already loaded and how when she got there. Mind you, it was another girl with her. And she said the same thing. Okay, so we get back to Olivia Pope and Associates, and their job was to fix the whole situation so that the Secret Service wouldn't get found out that they had anything to do with this girl's death or anything like that. It was just an accident. She OD'd and all this stuff. Child Harrison 2.0 looked at the stuff and was like, something about this ain't right. Quinn was like, girl, fuck that. That is not our job. They are our clients. Our clients, we supposed to get them off, okay? We not supposed to find them doing this and doing that and leave that shit alone. Harrison 2.0 was not here for that, okay? He went and found the autopsy report because they wiped down everything. First, he found the cell phone, and he said he couldn't even wipe down the cell phone because everything in her cell phone was already cleared out, including her iCloud. So somebody at the hotel had already did that before they got there. And that's what made him want to go ahead and get the autopsy report. And that showed that, she had blunt trauma to her head. And she could have survived had the Secret Service people went on ahead and called the cops and called the ambulance and got her to a hospital. But no, instead, since the girl was unconscious, but she was still alive, but she was unconscious, they went on ahead and pumped her with some drugs to make it seem like a drug overdose after the effect. And I said, don't y'all know science these days can determine when a person directly died, what time, and of what? I'm just sitting here like, God damn. But then again, they thinking they can get away with this shit because when the episode starts off, we see Fitz just going around fucking everybody. I said, this motherfucker just turned in the thigh. He said, well, I'm the president of the United States. I only got a year or so left, so fuck it. I gotta get my dick wet when I want to get my dick wet. Okay, Abby, you want me to go through all these chains of command? Child, he just was spotting them women out. They were just looking at him like, and he was like, I want that one, oh, and that one too. Come on, dear. I was just like, God damn, Fitz. She was like, give me your cell phone, give me your purse. You get all your belongings and stuff when you finish. And I'm just like, basically, it was his flavor of the day, flavor of the day. And they was just coming in and out, in and out. And it was one scene where Millie came up there, mind you. Millie was working on her book, and she was trying to figure out what's going on. She was Olivia had came in there, and Olivia was like, I can't be your press, I can't be on your campaign and all that stuff. And she was like, well, unofficially, what do I have to do to most likely put her in the lead against Susan? And she was like, basically, unofficially, you have to get Fitz to endorse you. And it was like, no, he's going to endorse Susan because that's his vice president. And she was like, I know that, but you have to get him on your side. That's what you have to do. And so she was about to work that angle when she brought they little baby Teddy over there to visit, Fitz. I forgot all about the little baby, okay? And then when they get there, they all, hey, this is my little man. How you doing? Doo, 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 doo. And then a bitch come out the door in a robe. And Millie was like, give me my child. Let me tell you something. You can fuck any bitch that you want. I don't give a damn because I'm not with you. But ain't now one of them hoes gonna be around my child. You got that, you hoe? I said, okay, Millie. I am loving Millie. I am loving Millie this season. Like, what? I love this Millie. Okay? Give us a hooch and she all right with me. After that, when they figured out that the Secret Service did all this stuff, I forget what happened. Abby was in a car, having a conversation with Olivia. They was parked in her car. Olivia is stalking the shit out of Jake. Like, he on a date with this girl named Vanessa, and she was like, this is their 9th date in 4 weeks. And I was like, God damn. I'm trying to figure out what that angle is. I know what her angle is. She trying to get her them jaws. I was like, no, it's something else. This motherfucker killed the man to get the head of the NSA. And I was like, leave it alone, Olivia. But Olivia knows something ain't right. And I was like, Huck put that bug in your head. And it's partly because she knows something is just not right because everything is too squeaky clean all of a sudden. And also because she still wants Jay. Okay? And they not, going to outwardly say it. It's a little jealousy there. Oh, so you gonna fuck this bitch over me? You just come and do drive-by fucks with me, but you gonna take her out on dates and stuff like that. That's what I feel like. But, Olivia ain't really equipped to be a main girlfriend. She even said it herself. She just like to be the side bitch. I guess. But next thing you know, Olivia was in the bed asleep. And she turned over. She looked in the mirror. Child, she turned around like, Jake was standing right there in the dark. I said, no, this motherfucker, I will not fuck with a nigga like that. You can get into my apartment and I ain't even give you the key. Okay, and I know that you kill people. You could have killed me in my sleep just because you had a night terror or whatever, just because you couldn't shit straight that day. So you just said, take it out on me and just shot me. You just never know. I don't have time for Jake like that. And basically, they go through their little spiel about why he there, who the bitch is, what you got going on, and all this stuff. And you want me, and the reason why I'm here and all this stuff. And she was like, no, I don't. Why you here and all this shit. Next thing I know, Jake is on the bed, on the floor in front of her. And he proceeds to figure fuck the shit out of her. How we know this is because, Miss Kerry Washington give you all types of reenactment of a sex scene and quivering and all that shit. He was like, all you gotta tell me is that you want the real thing and I'll go ahead and give it to you. But if you want me to do this, I'm gonna keep it up. She was about to get it in. She leaned back, got it in a little second, came back forward, and then gonna say stop. I said, bitch, you might as well let him make you come because you was damn near there. I said, what the fuck is going on, Olivia? Stop playing. Olivia was with somebody, and I can't believe I forgot. She had this scene where she was in a black coat and the red gloves. If y'all remember, put it down in the comments because it's right there on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember it. But anyway, it just put in her head because whoever it was like, these people get away with stuff, because they think abuse of power and shit like that, they can just cover up stuff and get away with it and all that shit. Okay, so this made her start thinking again about that whole Secret Service thing, and she went back to Olivia Post and Associate and told them to get the Secret Service and all that stuff involved. And next thing you know, she went to go meet the president. She trying to tell the president, first of all, they was all trying to act all coy and shy with each other. Oh my God, maybe I should have said hello first, and maybe you should have did this and all this stuff. You look good, you look good. First of all, Olivia walking around reminiscing about everything she touching the desk. I miss getting fucked on this. Oh, that was our spot right there. Oh, we had some time right here. That's how she was touching everything. I was like, girl, snap out of it, okay? We not finna fall back into this yet. Because I'll be goddamn, I swear to God, I thought they was going to end up doing it. And I would have been so mad. But she was there to tell him about the Secret Service and all this stuff. Abby told her about what was going on, with him and a whole bunch of women and all this stuff. So she was telling him, you need to do something about it. I heard about your little late night escapades and all the stuff that you've been doing. You need to do something about this. And he got pissed off and said, don't tell me what the fuck to do. And at this moment in time, Olivia gets up and Olivia proceeds to read the fuck out of Fitz. Okay? He was like, so you want to be known to your son as having all these different women coming in and out. You acting like a fucking child and all this shit. She was like, a fish rots from the head. And your secret person, your secret service and everything around you, they're doing what you're doing because you're doing it. And you're not policing them. You're not, putting them in charge and doing anything about them. You just letting them get away with it because you are slacking on your job. You just letting everything fall by the wayside. And I said, Olivia, you better read this motherfucker. I was just sitting here like, yep. He couldn't even say nothing because all he did was like this. Next thing you know, the Secret Service getting arrested and all that stuff. And, we will not tolerate people who would try to take advantage of their position and yada, yada, yada. I said, oh, now we want to do something. It takes Olivia to read the fuck out your ass for you to do your damn job. Okay. But now the last part of this episode, the other little subplot of this episode, storyline of this episode was Susan and the governor. David is still trying to convince Susan to run for president. And not only that, Liz want David to tell her to have the president to endorse her. She don't want the president to endorse her. And so, Cyrus is still on his kick trying to get Governor Francisco to run for president and put it in his mind without Cyrus outwardly saying, you need to run for president. Let it be his own decision. And they meet up, and, Cyrus was talking to him, and here comes Sally Langston. Hey, I want you on the show. She was like, man, we can make it happen. And then when she leave, he was like to Cyrus, I ain't going on her show. And Governor's thing is this education bill. He wants free college for everyone, okay? Free public college for everyone. And, Cyrus somehow got him another meeting with Fitz. Fitz really wasn't here for him at all. Fitz was not here for his education bill at all. And the way Cyrus flipped it, Cyrus made it seem like, it was just nothing. It's a stupid bill or whatever. So in Fitz's mind, it's a waste of time too. And of course, he's a Republican, and the governor, he's a Democrat. So right off the bat, he wasn't here for him. And the governor didn't like the way that he felt afterwards and the way he was slighted in that meeting. So he was like, fuck this. He don't want to talk and he don't want to hear my education bill, because he called it an enlightenment bill. I was like, oh, elitist bill or something like that. I said, oh, okay. And he was like, fine. Cyrus, can you get me back on Sally Langston? He got back up there, got on Sally Langston, talked about his bill and all that stuff. And then the way that they wanted to counteract that to get the president on Susan's side, Liz and David, was have Susan get up there and basically agree with the president that the bill was stupid. And that's basically what she did. And he wound up calling Susan in to endorse her. And, he was like, you felt that the bill was stupid. She was like, not really, I agree with it. He was like, well, this is you being yourself. Don't ever lie. Be yourself, okay? And that's why I want to endorse you. She was like, I don't really want your endorsement. He was like, I don't care. I'm going to earn your endorsement. I said, oh, what is going on right about now? And then the reason why the Francisco, he said he didn't want to run for president. And Tom, the bodyguard, he found out that, Francisco got a little daughter who's suffering from cancer, and that's basically why he didn't want to run, because he wanted to spend more time with her. And then, after all this shit transpired, they had this conversation where Cyrus made up this story about his brother getting hit by a drunk driver and all this stuff and being paralyzed and yada, yada, yada. And this made Francisco change his mind and come to Cyrus and say, I want to run for president and I want you to run my campaign. And I was like, what? Now, this whole time, Cyrus was looking at Francisco on TV at Sally's show. We got Michael, Cyrus' play husband, in the back playing with a Barbie doll, a black Barbie doll, braiding her hair and all this stuff. So I'm like, where's baby Keisha? And all this time we've been saying, where the hell is baby Keisha? So baby Keisha was in the back. Cyrus still got her because Michael came in at the end after Francisco said he gonna run for president and said, look, whatever her name, look, Keisha, she just gone down for sleep. Okay, and then Francisco, I was like, oh, so y'all finally mentioned the little baby? Francisco was like, let's have a toast to little yo baby, my baby, and your brother Oliver. Michael was like, I thought you said you was the only child. He was like, yep. I said, boy. And then at the end of the episode, Olivia goes over her dad's house and was like, he was like, I thought you said you didn't like having dinner over here. She was like, shit happens. I'll come in. And he was like, I don't know how this gonna go, but you can come in. And as soon as she came in, who was in there? Jack? Nope, not his name. Jake and Vanessa. And it was like, with the champagne and everything, he was like, you just in time. We're about to celebrate our engagement. We're getting married. I said, bitch, what? I ain't see that shit coming. After 9 dates and 4 weeks. Oh, okay. But that was scandal, y'all. Let me go watch How to Get Away with Murder so I can really get into it. Ooh. So last week, How to Get Away with Murder ended with, Philip popping out of West's apartment and attacking Annalise. So it started with that, and Annalise did not hang up the phone, and Eve was still on the phone, and she heard the struggle. She's like, oh my God, get off me, get off me. And then Eve said, oh my God, Annalise, are you okay? Are you okay? And then she was like, Wes, call 911. Somebody up in your apartment. Have you go to your apartment. So, the police get there. Next thing you know, we don't even know what happened to Philip. Philip, we gonna assume just jotted out of there. And that motherfucker said, boom, I'm gone. Okay, I heard police. You ain't finna get me. Okay? And so Annalise was at the police station. Nate comes, and then you got E coming. Wes was there. They trying to figure out everything that was happening, all that stuff. And come to find out Annalise is okay, whatever. And they just pissed at the fact that the ADA dude didn't do nothing for them and looking out for them, trying to get Philip or whatever, when they already told them that Philip is on the loose. Back at the house, when Annalise finally come in, Annalise probably went in the house for a good few minutes before Michaela asked, just all dramatic, oh my God, it's your fault. It's your fault. I blame you. I said, sit your ungrateful ass down, Michaela. What the fuck you talking about? Girl, they think that Philip done got Caleb. I said, oh, you crying over your nigga. Okay, y'all only been together for a minute, but I guess. She all crying and distraught because she don't know where he's at. He's not answering the phone. I guess he's not at his place of work or at the house or whatever. So they can't get in contact with him. And so she all in her feelings over that. I'm like, so how you gonna blame Annalise about this? This ain't her fault. You the one that got your feelings all hurt because you the one over there messing around with Philip and Caleb and all that. Next thing you know, to add some more salt on the wound, Eve was up there trying to see if Annalise was really okay, come to New York with me and all this stuff. And I'm like, Eve, girl, you just don't know that you just a good time for her, okay? You will never be serious with her. Annalise just not in that mood. She wants some kitty, okay, when she wants some kitty. That's how it is with Annalise. I'm not finna sit down and get into a full-blown relationship with you, and I'm not finna call myself a lesbian. So you can stop that. I got shit going on right here, and I'm still fucking around with Nate. Nate gonna take care of me. Eve was like, bitch, yet again, I get passed over for a nigga. And I said, yeah, that's true. She already told you she ain't finna be that lesbian shit, you know. Next thing you know, that's when Michaela said the shit about that. Wes is finally over at the house, and they trying to figure out where the fuck Wes been at and what's been going on with him and all that stuff. Meanwhile, Frank and Bonnie, they was out there talking because she trying to figure out whether or not what was Frank and Laurel talking about? Did you tell her about Annalise and all this stuff? And what about Lila and yada yada yada? So Frank reveals that, shit was going on with Lila, and that he had killed her and all that stuff, and what we already knew. Okay, she overheard this stuff, and once again, Bonnie thinking that. I said, why y'all think, damn, is Annalise that bad of a person that they automatically go to Annalise and think that? I guess it's because everything that's been happening so far, but they try to make it seem like Annalise is the one that's just throwing out order. Okay, I want that one gone, that one gone, that one gone. Bonnie was under the impression that Annalise already knew about it, and that Annalise put him out there to kill Lila or whatever. And I'm just sitting here like, no, that is not it. And before they can really, really get into it, they was close. They was close. Frank got all up in her face or whatever. He was like, what, you gonna kill me and all that stuff, or some shit that she was saying. And he was like, so I'm right here. You really gonna say some shit like that and I'm right this close to your face? And that's when they came out. And then Annalise seen them. And I was like, Annalise looking like, what the fuck y'all was in there doing? Fucking or some shit? Child. Frank had went to that cellar or whatever to go get some alcohol and gave it to Annalise, snuck it in there because she told Bonnie that she stopped drinking and all that stuff, which she really did. Child, I looked at that big ass vodka bottle. I said, come on, Annalise. Annalise is me is Annalise in this moment, okay? I said, your drink of choice is vodka. You're all right with me. And baby was drinking it straight with no chaser. I said, you know what? Let it go down easy and take that sting off for a minute. But while they was in the process of doing this, they get a call saying that the ADA want them to come down there and interview everybody that was on the video. Okay. And this is the video at the, Caleb house where the Sinclair lady got killed. So they was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? I was like, you're going to go down there and you're going to do what you got to do. So Bonnie was their representation, their lawyer, whatever. And everybody said that Michaela was really on it. I was like, Michaela, you better get these answers, until they stumped her a little bit. And it was like, so if, because she was basically saying that she wasn't in a relationship with Caleb until after, he was no longer a client of theirs. And then it was like, but you had him hide out up in your apartment. Now you just said that he was no longer, you got involved with him after he was no longer your client. He was still a client of y'all when he was hiding out in your apartment or whatever. So why was he up in your apartment if y'all wasn't involved? I said, you know what? Michaela sat there like this. Bitch, you not finna try me. Caleb was going in and all this stuff, and Wes was just so nonchalant about it. And I was like, oh, Laurel, and his conversation got to me because he tried to flip it up and said, where you from? She was like, I'm from Mexico, and then, we moved up here from Florida to come to law school and all this stuff. Next thing you know, they had this conversation in Spanish. He was trying to flip that Spanish shit on her, and she was like, you know what? He tried to play this good homeboy, homegirl, we got the Spanish Mexican thing together, let's become comrades and stuff like that. I'm not finna buy that shit. I said, y'all better do it. Annalise taught y'all well. Y'all be hating the fuck on Annalise, but y'all be using her methods for show. That's why she was not worried, because she was like, y'all know what to do. Okay, y'all know what to do. I ain't got to say nothing else. I really don't. So, they get done with this. Ash is still at the house. He feeling guilty about everything that's going on. He like, if it wasn't for me, y'all wouldn't be going through this stuff. And I was like, I mean, To be honest, yeah, had you not had a heavy foot and was in your feelings and backed and hit Sinclair and all that shit, you would have been cool or whatever. You know, they would have just had this Caleb murder and the family murder or whatever. So back at the house, still, Wes is there. They still don't know where Caleb at. Oliver comes over. Nate calls. Oliver comes over with some pizza and shit like that. Everybody's staying up in Annalise's house, you know, because they don't know where Philip at. Nate called trying to what did he call about? He called about something, but Annalise was just sitting there drinking her life away. I said, "Well, good goddamn, Annalise, calm down." And you know, at this moment, Laurel got confronted by Wes and was like, "Why did you lie to me?" She was trying to figure out what is it that Annalise said, because Annalise, what happened at the police station and all this shit. And you know, Annalise was you know, Wes really wasn't trying to say nothing, but he was pissed off at her for hiding the truth from him that about that paper, you know. And it was like, well, she the one that put it in your mind that you killed your mama and all this stuff, but they said it was, you know, trying to make you lie and all this stuff, you know. And I was just like, ugh, I'm so tired of Laura. Laura was getting on my nerves this whole episode, especially at the end. So Annalise was literally just dogged out drunk when Bonnie came in with Asher and was like, you know, dude, the ADA wanted to come and talk to Asher. Asher was like, I don't know what to do. It was like, go ahead and talk to him because you smarter than what people think. And so they went down there and they talked and all this stuff. And, you know, he was like, where was you at on the night of this and that? He was like, I don't recall. And he was like, well, you was in the parking garage and we have an evidence, you know, a witness who spoke to you that night and all that shit. And I'm just sitting here like, oh boy. So you got the kids out there talking at Annalise's house. Let me just say, I'm going to put this out there right here. Everybody was fucking wrong about everybody was wrong in my comments. Some of y'all was almost there about certain shit that happened on this episode, but everybody was kind of wrong, okay? But some of y'all was halfway there. And basically, they were sitting in the apartment, in Annalise's house trying to figure out. Oliver was talking about some stuff. Frank came over there trying to talk to Laura and saying, you know, come talk to me or whatever. She was like, girl, please, I ain't got time. And it was like, so y'all broke up? When this happened? And was like, you know what? Maybe when Frank tried to shoot Annalise. And then Oliver was like, wait a minute, I thought Catherine tried to shoot her. It was like, no, that's what the DEA gonna say. The DEA is looking at that angle that Frank shot Annalise and all this stuff. Next thing you know, we see kind of confronts Laurel in the kitchen, like, why did you say that? It was like, I'm trying to save your ass, because your boy looked like he was gonna you know, trying to see if he can handle all your secrets, because, you know, obviously he can't. And then Bonnie goes in there trying to talk to Annalise and was like, you up in here drinking and all this stuff. Why you in here drinking? Why you doing all this stuff? Let me ask you this. What is your relationship to Wes? Okay? Because you look out for him way more than you do anybody else. And it's just real odd. Okay? All of this stuff, it go deeper than, you know, being on the case of his mother and all this stuff. It goes way much more deeper than that. She was like, bitch, I ain't gotta tell you shit. She was like, you know what? I'm just tired of y'all motherfuckers. I can't have a drink in my own damn house. You know what? Get the fuck out, okay? She gets up and tell them to get out. She was like, you get out. Is this a fucking shelter or a halfway house? Get your ass out. Did y'all see how she threw that bag at Laura? I said, damn. She was like, how do you feel? You ain't the one that got jumped by a little bitch. I said, come on, Annalise. You better put it in there. And then, you know, she was like, everybody get out except for you, Wes. And then she told Wes to come sit in there, poured him a drink. And this is when she proceeded to tell him about everything that was going on. Girl, Wes didn't believe it, though, at the time. But I'll get to that shit in a minute. So we going back to 10 years later. All this stuff that was going on. This is after the, what's her name? Rose killed herself. And they basically was trying to, Annalise was trying to cover it up and make it seem as if she was not there on the scene. But she was trying to put it out there that Wes did not kill her. Do not try to make it seem like this little black boy killed his mom when he didn't. And trying to, I guess protect him. She wanted Eve to go and tell the attorney or the whoever it was over the whole case or whatever, some stuff that was going on that she couldn't tell them. She wanted to tell them that, Rose was forced to give a lie. Her testimony would have been a lie and all that stuff. But Eve was like, girl, please, I ain't got time for this, and at first Eve was just like, what you gonna do? Because all this stuff was just coming down on her head. And before that happened, before she was gonna do this, Mahoney came, the daddy. He came to her apartment, her hotel room or whatever, trying to tell her, so I hear what happened and all this stuff, how we gonna win this case and all this shit. Basically, you etching for me to fire you. You want me to fire you. She was like, I can still win the case. And it was like, you know what? How can you do that when our main witness is in the morgue? She was like, you know what? You made her lie about this shit. And this was the scene that, okay, I'm not gonna go there yet. At this moment in time, this was the saying, well, fuck it. We got to go in succession and all that shit. Because all this happened because they went back, tried to leave that shit as a cliffhanger. But I'm going to put it right here. We found out that she was like, why you keep on talking about this, okay? What is it about her? Because when she killed herself, before she said that, she said, look out for my son. She was afraid for her son, okay? I look at it in your eyes. You raped her. And how many times did you do it? Oh, you kept on until you realized that you had a son after it. That's your son. And I'm sitting here like, bitch. Now in some of my comments, a couple of y'all said, what if Sam was Wes' real father? It was a white man, but the wrong one. The most obvious one was standing up in our face. I was like, damn, I ain't really see that coming. But then again, I did. By the way that he was acting and shit, I was like, yeah, I can see that happening. And so this is another plot twist as to how this shit gonna go. All right, for next season. It's gonna set it up because you already know Wes is finna be looking for his daddy and trying to get some answers, and some shit gonna go down. My bad, y'all. And so, what wound up happening? Annalise, Eve didn't want to go and tell them about that. Because if Annalise do it, she can probably get disbarred, whatever, talking about coercing a witness to give a false statement and all that shit. She was like, fuck it, I'll go do it myself. So in the process of her doing that, she was on the phone trying to set up the meeting, and once she get off the phone, she was driving safely, and next thing you know, a red Jeep Cherokee, come and hit her on the side, and she wound up having to go to the hospital. They had to do an emergency C-section, and next thing you know, the baby died. Okay, Sam got called out there, and it was very sad. When they put that baby in her arms to hold, I said, no, I couldn't do that shit. That is traumatizing enough. Like, no, I can't. I have to hold my dead baby. First of all, I had to give birth to it, but I had to hold my dead. No, I couldn't do it. And then this is when Eve finally meets Sam for the first time. And, shit like that happened. I think that was basically, of course, Annalise was depressed and shit. So I'm pretty sure that I'm going to think that because now, remember, probably last season, Annalise said she was barren. This can possibly be the reason why she's barren now and she can't have no more kids or whatever. I don't know. But that's just a assumption or a thought. So after Annalise, go back to present day. When Annalise told them to get the fuck out, they go to a bar and all this shit. We found out that Oliver didn't quit his job because he just want to be free and live for the moment. Okay. Next thing you know, we see Michaela up there dancing all wild and shit, just getting bucked and stuff. I said, oh shit. Here come Asher dancing with her. Next thing you know, she go out the club talking, trying to call Caleb. Caleb, could you please give me a call back? I just want to let you know that I love you. And before she can even get that out, Asher was like, he ain't picking up the phone. And then it was like, you want to be mad? Just be mad. Hit me. Come on. Hit me. Hit me harder. And they doing all that. And I said, no, you don't. I said, Shonda, what the fuck you doing? Now, see, Shonda, you fucked up on this thing right here. I was like, I'm not here for this shit. I ain't not need to go back to him. I want Ashley and Bonbon to get back together. I do not want to see this that just happened, okay? Next thing you know, she feeling on him, and they start kissing. They going to the bathroom and all that shit. They on the counter and all this. Next thing you know, he turned her around, bent down, pulled her drawers down, and slapped her on her ass. I said, Ashley got a little bit of nigga up in him, though. But, I was like, that was a mood I made. I was like, you drunk as fuck and you still slapping asses? Okay. And then they did it. And I was just like, oh my God, what the fuck? What the whole fuck is going on in this? I was just not here for that shit. And so, after that, on the next week episode, it's the season finale of what was going on. So, Ashley and Michaela gonna do it again. I was like, what the hell is this shit? What the hell is going on between the sheets in my home? I was just sitting here like, this contagious ass shit, I don't want it, okay? Let me put a mask on because I don't want to have this, all right? Next thing you know, Bonnie goes over to Frank's house and Frank was like, what's up? She was like, so let me tell you something. Annalise had you kill Lila and all this stuff. He was like, no, she didn't. And then he was like, no, she didn't have you kill her. You did it for Sam. And it was like, does Annalise know? No, she don't. And don't let her know. Don't let it get out. Child, this is where I said Asher and Laurel. We can keep Asher for comedy, reasons. But Laurel has to go because she just fucked up everything. Laurel brings her drunk ass back to Annalise's house and gonna say what you say to Wes. I want to know what you say to Wes. Because you the one that had Frank kill Lila. Because first of all, Annalise was like, you drunk as fuck. Go home. I was like, damn, Annalise, you ain't gonna get the bitch an Uber and make sure she get there safe. I guess Annalise said, well, shit, you got here safely, so I guess you can get your ass back safely. I would have did the same thing. But Annalise was like, wait a minute, what? Say that again? Frank killed Lila for you. And Annalise was just like, wait a minute, she didn't know that. And I said, once again, Laurel, your dumb ass got it fucking wrong, okay? And now you done fuck shit up. Annalise went upstairs like, ain't this about a goddamn bitch? These motherfuckers, I'm up here. I can't even. These bitches in my goddamn house just fucking shit up, okay? And Frank, of all people, ain't even gonna say nothing. This bitch was up here covering this shit up for this nigga this whole damn time. And he been with me the motherfucking longest and all this shit. I'm just sitting here like, God damn, I gotta get the fuck up out of here. And so she packs her bag and she goes to visit her mama. Child, Miss Celie will be back on that. Celie Tyson. She will be back. Cicely Tyson. I said Celie. Cicely Tyson will be back on here next week for the season finale. Cicely Tyson is 90-some years old and she is still snatching up these roles. Y'all saw her up in House of Cards this season. But that was Scandal. Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder. Y'all tell me how y'all feel and I will see y'all later. Peace.